Hey, what's up everybody? Browncoat67 here today, and I am going to be showing you my Doomsday device that I have built here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use it. It's pretty flippin' sweet, and then I'm going to go through and show you how to build it. You'll see I got plenty of mobs around. I got skeletons, there's a pig over there, we got some phantoms going on. What this is going to do, it's going to shoot a beam into the air. It's going to change it to red, and then it's going to lightning strike and explode. Yes, now you see the pig survived. That's because not only does it do exactly what I just showed you, but it also ignores the mobs that I want it to, and I'll show you how it's done. So the first thing we're going to want to do is you're going to want to build a small beacon. The beacon I use is literally going to be just diamond blocks and a beacon. It's just a level 1, and I've got those right here. So how it's done is you're going to put 9 diamond blocks down like this and a beacon on top in the middle. The beacon is going to get activated and it'll have a beam above it. I break one of the diamond blocks in the corner so that it stays off until I'm ready to use it. And then you're going to want to write down the coordinate of that position there for the block that's missing. You'll notice on mine, it's what, 354, 114, negative 73. If you don't know how to get your coordinates, if you're in Bedrock Edition, you just need to go into your game settings, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see right here, show coordinates. If you're on Java Edition, I believe F3, you press that and it's going to pop up with a whole bunch of information. And about halfway down on the left side, it'll show you your X, Y, and Z coordinates. So from there, everything else that I have is literally just aesthetic. You'll notice when the commands are running, there was a glass block that gets summoned in, it's green, and then it gets replaced with a red one, and now there's nothing there. You do want to leave that spot blank, which is going to be above the beacon. As you know, when you put a glass block above the beacon, it changes the color of the beam. But everything else is aesthetic. This is just stuff that you can do any design you want to, as long as you leave that space open to complete the beacon, and you have a hole at the top for the beacon to shoot out of. Alright, the rest of this, as you can see, is just, I put some iron blocks on, some end rods. These are netherite bricks. I just wanted to give it some kind of technological look. So that is the beacon. Now, obviously, this is going to be operated by everything else. The next thing I'm going to get to here, this is what I call the lever portion. Obviously, very clever name. There's a lever on it, and it's a portion of the build. Right on the other side of this lever is a sticky piston. So when I turn that lever on, it pushes the sticky piston forward, and when I turn the lever off, it retracts the sticky piston. Now, on that sticky piston you saw, we have a redstone brick. So, when the piston is off, the redstone block, block, is powering this pathway and these command blocks. When it gets pushed forward when you fire the lever, it powers these two. So, the first one you'll see here is going to change the weather to clear. The next one here is going to do a set block to this position here, and it's going to replace it with air. This one here is going to set a scoreboard to 0. This one is another block that it's going to set in the air. And this one here is another block that it's going to set in the air. So basically, when I turn this off, it's going to replace 3 blocks with air. One of those blocks is right here, where the beacon is, because I'm going to turn this on, so when I turn it off, I turn the beacon off. Another block that I'm replacing with air is this block here, where the glass is going to be to change the color. I want to get that erased. I want to reset it every time. And then there's one more spot. This block here. Because when I turn on the lever and it powers this side, you'll see that I'm going to set a redstone block down in one position. And then actually, this one's got nothing in it right now. I believe I was going to work on a sound or a particle effect, but I haven't done it yet. But that position that it's going to summon the redstone block down is right here. Because when I put a redstone block down here, it powers this. This is what's called a redstone clock. It basically just takes this current and continuously loops it around. I timed it to be about a second long, and I use that to actually power my commands. When I erase that block, it stops. All this is some redstone running into a comparator. Now I've got repeaters. It's only clicked once, only clicked once, only clicked once, not clicked at all. And you see I've got redstone dust down in the four corners. Underneath one of these is a command block. That scoreboard earlier that we set to 0 when you turn it off, it was called clock. This is that same scoreboard. This one, every time that clock cycles one more time, it adds 1 to the score. So we're going to have to create a scoreboard before you get too far ahead. So to create your scoreboard, you're going to go ahead and type /scoreboard, objectives, add clock, dummy clock. Basically, clock and clock are going to be the name. One of them is the string name for when you want to recall the score, and the other one is the display name. In this case, it doesn't matter. I both have them named as clock. The dummy is because you're going to be controlling this variable. It's not going to be dependent on a game mechanic such as kills or anything like that. You are going to dictate what the value is. Now, when I make it, it's going to say that an objective already exists with that name because I made it earlier. When you do it, it's going to say that it added that score, that clock. So now we have the score. It's called clock. When you turn it off, it resets it to 0. When you turn it on, every time it cycles, it adds 1 to the score. You'll see these command blocks here, all these purple ones, are all testing for a score. This one checks to see if the clock equals 1. This one checks to see if it equals 5. This one checks for 9, and this one checks for 10. So by using a redstone clock, can literally time out exactly when I want things to happen. It's a lot easier than making a long trail of repeaters. I can literally just make a small clock, time it to about a second, and then say, well, I want to wait 10 seconds before this happens, and bam, it's easy. I programmed it. Like I said, the first one is going to be scoreboard players test at A, so that's all players, and it's going to check to see if clock equals 1. You have a comparator here going straight into a repeater, and then we're powering some command blocks. The first one is going to change the weather to thunder, so you're going to start getting some clouds. Now this biome here doesn't rain, but you can get lightning and thunder. The next one is going to set a diamond block. That position, those coordinates there, are going to be right here. The position that we left open, that command is going to put the diamond block here that turns the beacon on. So make sure you're using the coordinates for your beacon and not mine. The next one is another set block. This is stained glass. Now it's going to set stained glass 5. Now, for those that have tried to use commands with stained glass, you can't just put the color of the stained glass. You have to do stained glass and then use a number to alter the block. 0 is clear, and then 1 is white. And anyway, you can go to the Minecraft wiki, and it'll have the listing of all of it. 5 is lime green. And the coordinates that I had in the command is for this empty block here. So it's going to right away make it thundery. It's going to put a green block there, a diamond block here, so it should power the beacon, make it green, and change the weather to thunder. And it also plays a sound. You notice when I turned it on that it made the sound that a beacon makes when it turns on. I did it with the command as well, just because you might not build it with the beacon so close. And this way you will always hear it, because otherwise it depends on how close you are to the beacon. Alright, moving on. The next one, scoreboard players test at A, clock, between 5 and 5. Again, we're going to do a comparator and a repeater, and then into command blocks. Now, you'll notice the rest of these don't have any redstone dust on top. That's because the redstone current will power this one and this one, Only if you go longer than 2. If you go 3, then you'll need to run some additional redstone to make sure, because that third one would not be powered. If you're just doing 2, it works out great. So here is playSoundBeacon.power. This is that intense beacon sound that it makes typically when you would put in your gem and then select a power to activate in your beacon. The next one here replaces that green stained glass, which was 5, with number 14. Number 14 is red. So this is going to replace the glass block with a red one and turn the beacon red. So this is going to be when the score is between 9 and 9. Same thing up here, comparator, repeater. We have that beacon power sound again. This time it's accompanied by an execute command. I'm going to go through this. This is probably one of the more complicated commands. There's only one that's a little bit more complicated in this video. So you'll see that I have /execute at E, and I'm going to use a square bracket. So at E is all entities. This includes all players, all villagers, all the animals, the monsters. But I don't necessarily want to hit them all. So I'm going to use a square bracket. Type equals exclamation point sheep. Type equals exclamation point cow. Type equals exclamation point horse. Type equals exclamation point chicken. Type equals exclamation point pig. Name equals exclamation point brown code 67. What this does is I'm targeting all the entities that are not sheep or cows or horses or chickens or pigs or myself. That exclamation point says, hey, you're looking for anything but this. If I were to take those out, it would only target sheep, cows, horses, chickens, pigs, and myself. So then we're going to have 3 tildes after we close off that square bracket. Now you can change this. Obviously, you're going to want to put your Minecraft player name there. If you have dogs or cats, you can add them in. Or if you want all the entities to be hit, it doesn't matter. Just change up the commands to what you're looking for. But you're going to do those 3 tildes, and then we're going to do summon, lightning bolt, and then 3 tildes again. This means that at every entity that's not one of these, we're going to summon a lightning bolt at their position. Now this one over here, it's going to be a clock 10. Oh, forgot to say something here. So the execute command, one thing. When you scroll down here, you'll see that I have this delayed 15 ticks. Do not leave that. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of lightning spawning in on those entities, and it can lag your game if you have a slower PC that might not have the RAM or the CPU power. Sorry. All right, so this one, like I said, is looking for 10, which is only 1 second later. Again, comparator, repeater, and this is the more complicated execute command. Very similar in nature. In fact, from the beginning until the part where it says summon TNT, that whole front part is exactly the same. So it's execute at E, type not sheep, not cows, not horses, not chickens, not pigs, and not me. Then I've got 3 tildes again, and I'm going to summon TNT minecart, 3 more tildes, but then I've got a little bit more. I'm going to do Minecraft : on_instant_prime. This means when it summons in that TNT minecart, that it's going to summon it in immediately as it explodes. If you try to summon in regular TNT, on Bedrock Edition, you can't adjust the fuse without NBT data tags. So when you spawn it in, it has to sit there for a couple seconds before it explodes. Doing this allows you to spawn it in at any coordinate you want, but it'll explode immediately. This one as well is delayed by 15 ticks. And then this last one here, you're going to do game rule, do mob spawning false. Now this one is really optional, depends. What this does is basically after you turn on your Doomsday device and you kill everything, the animals are not going to spawn back in. You can of course go in and obviously undo it. Game rule, do mob spawning, true. And now you'll see I'm getting some, there's a creeper. Getting some animals back. But then I could just turn it on and kill them again. Now, in order to build everything that I did use command blocks, and I also used barrier blocks. The barrier blocks, you see, I used to completely kind of create a wall around my builds. I don't want any entities getting around any of this because we're blowing them up with TNT. Even though in the settings you can go in and you can decide to have it where TNT doesn't explode, sometimes it still does. So I definitely want to cover everything up with barrier blocks just to make sure that, for example, what if there's a rabbit that hops up here when you use it and you blow up your command blocks? Now you're going to have to take all that time and rebuild it again. Barrier blocks are clear when you're not holding them. They're impenetrable, like bedrock. They can't be broken. So it's perfect for creating a little barrier around your build. In order to get the command blocks and the barrier blocks, there are commands. We're going to do /give and then @p. Now, command block is literally just command _ block, if I could type. And then the barrier blocks are just barrier. For the platform, I use the yellow and black concrete as well as the polished andesite to give it that kind of, hey, danger, this is a test area feel. I do like to do those with some of my redstone and command block builds. I just, I've always liked that look. That's also andesite down below. Now, for the aesthetics that you see, and it doesn't matter, again, none of this really matters. You can change anything you want. I used the netherite, iron, and I used some chiseled deep slate. The chiseled deep slate is what I'm using up top here. Iron blocks, and these are the netherite blocks. Yes, again, end rods as well. And I did have a couple redstone lanterns here. As far as what you need for the redstone, you're just going to need one sticky piston, a block of redstone. You're going to need some redstone dust, and you're going to need a few redstone repeaters and a few comparators. Then, of course, a beacon and a lever. All right, so now that I've explained how it works and showed you how to build it, let me walk you through. So again, I'm going to flick this lever, and this redstone block is going to move outward. It's going to put a redstone block over here, and it's going to power this little clock. Every time this clock cycles around, it's going to add 1 to a scoreboard called clock. When it equals 1, it's going to power these commands. When it equals 5, it's going to power these commands. When it equals 9, it's going to power these commands. And at 10, it's going to power these ones. The commands are going to put a diamond block here. It's going to put glass here so that you have a beacon, and it will change the color of the beacon. Then it's going to summon lightning and TNT minecarts that are ready to explode at the position of all the mobs that we want to hit. So I'm turning it on, and you'll see as the scores are moving that it'll cycle through the commands. Now we're going to go to 5. You'll see it changes. When we get to 9, it's going to power this one, and we'll have lightning. And then 10 with the explosions. Now you see, even with TNT doesn't blow up, TNT is still blowing up. That's why I always recommend putting the barrier blocks around your build. You'll see, guess what? The only thing that protected some of that build here was my barrier blocks. But now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to turn this off, and it's going to set that to 0. Oops. It won't because I broke that redstone dust earlier and I never put it back. And I left the commands popping up on my screen, but you're going to want to turn that off so that it's not always popping up when you're using this. To make that happen, you're going to do another game rule command. This time you're going to do command block output, and you're going to do false. So now, when I operate this, I'm not going to have stuff popping up all over my screen. Alright everybody, let me know what you think of this build in the comments section below. Let me know if you want anything different. I definitely enjoy building these Doomsday devices that shoot beacons in the air and then utilize lightning and other effects to create mayhem and destruction. Anyway, if you like this build, check out this one where I show you how to build an actual moving, turning turret gun. Uses some of the same methods that we have here. Alright everybody, I'll catch you next time.